There are no flies on Debogorski, the author of King of the Road, True Tales from a Legendary Ice Road Trucker. In order to help with the wildfire response this summer, he bravely disregarded evacuation orders in his hometown of Yellowknife, Canada, according to his Facebook profile. We are glad to hear that he is still involved and look forward to following him in whatever role he chooses to engage with his followers. This serves as a reminder that driving too fast increases the likelihood of an accident, regardless of your level of driving expertise. Although there is no way to be totally safe, there are steps you can take to reduce risk and possibly improve your results, such as using the appropriate safety gear, receiving the right training, and competing on closed courses. What happened in the most serious vehicle accident on the show? Be careful to read through to the end to get the answer. JJ Dabos and his wife, Trisha Day Wives. JJ Dabos and Trisha Day were filming America's List for the series when they were engaged in a terrifying incident in January 2022. After the automobile she was in slammed into multiple rented cars that were transported to the set, Trisha sustained more severe injuries than JJ did and had to stay in the hospital for a week. According to the Capital Sports report, she had surgery on both of her hips. In the process, her car was damaged, so it's quite likely that she won't be racing for the remainder of the season that the show is filming. JJ has had injuries while operating a vehicle before. A 2017 drag scene report claims that JJ crashed into a concrete culvert on the highway at 55 mph after dozing off while traveling to Arkansas. He was mostly unharmed by the collision, however he did suffer a broken right hand, rib injuries, and several scratches and bruises. Precious Cooper. In 2021, Precious Cooper was also engaged in a severe collision in which her automobile was run off the road and flipped 9 times. In the latest season of Street Outlaws, Memphis, she was involved in a very serious vehicle accident. An exclusive clip of her terrifying ordeal was published by Discovery. As soon as the race began, everything started to go wrong rapidly. Cooper's rival, South Carolina racer Stevie Kroom, lost control of his vehicle and veered to the left, nearly colliding with her zip-tie Nova. Cooper had already made a sharp left turn to escape the crash, but he halted in the next few seconds to drive back right. Regretfully, she caused her car to flip over 9 times when she drove into the gravel and then turned right to return to the track. Despite being noticeably disturbed by the terrifying incident, she fortunately didn't seem injured. Kamikazi Chris by Street Outlaws. As he traveled to compete against the best in street racing, Chris had invested years of time and his entire life savings into turning the Elko, also known as the 1981 Chevrolet El Camino, made famous in the Oklahoma City street racing scene by the late Tyler Pretty, better known as Flip, into a top-tier twin-turbo thoroughbred. However, Chris's momentum abruptly stopped when he lost control of the Elko on a night when he claims he didn't really plan to race. The Elko was completely destroyed by the collision, including the body, chassis, engine, and turbochargers. Since then, Chris has been working to put himself back together and plan his return. Despite his fame, Chris remains a working-class guy. There have been times during this show I've been dirt broke poor. So the underdog thing that I'm labeled as, it's real. It's not some kind of role I've tried to play, he said. Shannon Poole Street Outlaws and seasoned racers, TV personality Shannon Poole from New Orleans was in a terrifying collision in February 2020 while participating in the Fat Tuesday Mardi Gras blowout at Gulfport Dragway. In a breathtaking scene that the sport rarely witnesses outside of nitro and radial tire racing, Poole was racing in his well-known 1964 Corvette that was helped by nitrous oxide when he climbed onto its back bumper, close to the finish line, and took off. Based on the available film, it appears that the automobile veered to the side while in midair and collided with its nose,
causing a fireball to burst forth, most likely due to the gasoline lines being broken. Then, in the shutdown area, the car came to a rolling stop. Reports indicate that even immediately after the crash, Shannon was able to answer all questions and was completely conscious. He showed no signs of major injuries, but was still brought to a local hospital to undergo medical surveillance.
Lizzy Musi. Lizzy drove her brand new 1969 Chevy Camaro dragster, constructed by Robert Hayes Race Cars, to the Street Outlaws No Prep Kings competition in South Carolina. She was racing the Camaro for the first time, so naturally, things didn't go according to plan. Musi appeared to have an easy victory when the lights went green as she lined up against Brandon James's Chevy Nova. But she lost control of Bonnie a few seconds into the race, sending her crashing nose first into the guardrail. Lizzy escaped the automobile unscathed despite the severe collision. She was evidently sent to the hospital for a standard assessment, but she later went back to the drag strip to cheer on her longtime boyfriend and teammate, Kai Kelly, who was competing that day. Needless to say, when Kelly popped the question at the starting line, she had the surprise of her life. "Yes," she replied. "Lizzy has suffered injuries while operating a vehicle before." In the season opening PDRA Texas Nationals at the Texas Motorplex south of Dallas in 2015, she experienced her first serious crash. In 2019, she went through another terrible ordeal. Big Chief for Justin, Big Chief Shearer of the Street Outlaws, a night of street racing did not go well. In November 2015, he and co-star Brian "Chucky" Davis were in a horrific vehicle accident that resulted in both cars being damaged and Big Chief suffering horrifying injuries. After that horrific car accident, Street Outlaws hero Justin "Big Chief" Shearer made a full recovery. However, his prized vehicle wasn't that fortunate. It was totaled. His first vehicle, a 1969 Pontiac Le Mans, introduced him to street racing, which eventually led to the success of his Discovery Network show. He posted one last Instagram photo of his totaled car as a way to express his grief at the loss of what he refers to as his first love. Jeff Lutz, star of street legal drag racing and chassis builder Jeff Lutz, was not hurt in an accident on Sunday while filming an upcoming Street Outlaws episode at Memphis International Raceway in Tennessee. He was driving his brand new 1957 Chevy. While racing alongside Street Outlaws star Daddy Dave Comstock at the Tri-5 Nationals in August, Jeff Lutz, who had just debuted his new twin-turbo 57, lost control of the vehicle and drifted out of the groove. The car then careened over the center line and struck the wall nose first. Lutz quickly got out of the car and started assessing the damage as it swerved to a stop. Lutz has endured an earlier excursion with the guardrail as well that forced he and his crew to patch the once pristine composite front end back together. James "Doc" Love. James "Doc" Love gained notoriety among Street Outlaws viewers for his racing abilities during his time on the program. For the most of his on-screen life, Doc drove a modified 1970 Chevy Monte Carlo that he called the Street Beast. He made it clear that he meant it when he said that his vehicle was set on kill for any rivals that got in his way. Doc offered an explanation saying, "Me and the Street Beast were in an unfortunate big end accident while filming a very important race in Nebraska for the OG show." He continued by describing every single incident in detail. The accident resulted in several injuries as well. Car barrel rolled 5 to 6 times and even knocked 3 8-10-inch round cedar trees clean off at the ground, he claimed. He then expressed gratitude to the public for their unwavering support during his protracted and difficult recuperation process. James Finney, popularly known as Birdman, was injured in 2 significant crashes while filming the Discovery Channel's racing program on a highway west of Casper. As a result, he was admitted to the hospital for the night. Finney would be taken to Wyoming Medical Center, where he reported that the staff members, including the physicians, had been outstanding. According to reports at first, he was alert but with lots of injuries. Still, he would be in excruciating pain. The main source of the suffering was a smashed left hand, 3 broken ribs, and 3 bruised vertebrae that the physicians first thought might be broken. What is most alarming is that they would also discover a spot on Finney's heart following complaints of difficulty breathing and chest pain. That would have been a serious concern at first, but it turned out to be a tiny aortic tear that will mend on its own. It would only take Finney a little more than a day to recover enough to go home. Daddy Dave, the scariest and near-death crash. It took place at the Texas Amarillo Dragway. Shortly after the race began, Dave collided with the wall while operating a Chevy 2 that was supplied nitrous. Dad, driven by a nearly full charge of the escaping gas, one of the nitrous bottles broke free of its mount and shot out the side window of the car, seriously injuring Dave. As the bottle flew out the window, it hit Dave in the head. Dave doesn't remember the collision to this day, which suggests that his helmet saved his life. Had actually lost all memory of the few hours before the crash. That period of time has simply passed. Which crash do you believe to have been the most bizarre? Please feel free to express your thoughts in the comments box. Don't forget to like and share on social media.